if we had said no to this client, if we had said no, and I want the audience to really lean in, because this is not hyperbolic at all. I'm not exaggerating. If we had said no to that client, in all likelihood, we would have lost about $250,000 over a decade.
Yes. A wedding couple pays you once.
A corporate client pays you for years or even decades.
It's time to leverage your creativity, knowledge, and experience in a whole new market.
Hi, I'm Don.
I'm Emily.
And we're the Malonies.
Welcome to Hocus-Focus,
the magic behind your wildly successful studio.
We've spent the last 20 years building a system to dominate the corporate market,
so we could exceed our clients' expectations from Dallas to destinations around the world.
Now we're sharing all of our secrets with you,
so you can build a life and business you truly want, doing what you really love.
Okay,
on with the show.
Okay, you can do the clacky thing. Okay.
I have too much fun with that.
No such thing as too much fun.
We should just love doing this together.
I do love doing this. Okay, so this is episode 3.
It is episode 3.
We're getting better.
Slightly.
Slightly better. I want to talk today about the moment when we decided we were going to really make the shift and what the reason was. Like, actually, first, I'd like to acknowledge that I feel like people think it's a lightning strike.
First, what are we shifting from?
A fair point.
Just in case you're just landing in and this is your first episode.
We are talking about the fact that over the last 20 years, we spent the first 5 or 6 years building a social brand that largely served wedding couples and individuals. And it was around 2012 when we rebranded that we said, I want to do more corporate.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do more business-to-business photography. And I feel like people think that it hit us like a bolt of lightning or like a big explosion, or there's like some fit that was thrown. It was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I think there were moments of that, but rather than an inferno or an explosion, it was kind of like a slow burn.
Yeah.
I feel like as the person who did a lot of the behind the scenes stuff, just got kind of tired of the lather, rinse, repeat nature of find a couple, court that couple, answer all the questions for the couple, book or not book the couple, handhold the couple, work a weekend, emotional labor. Like it started to feel like a grind. And as the corporate projects kind of started to peak up and we started doing it, I was like, wait a minute. The person calls, they say they got a referral from a venue or another planner or somebody, and they say, I like your work and I have a couple questions for you. You answer those quick questions. They're like, great, can you come on this day at this time for this long and send me an invoice?
There wasn't a ton of going back and forth, right? It was like, hey, this is what I need. Can you do it? Yeah. Show me your portfolio. And we're like, yep. And that's it. And not back and forth. Can mom and dad afford this? Can, because once you fall, for your photographer as a wedding client, you still then have to make sure mom and dad and whoever's financially invested is also, approving. Yeah. And so you're getting rid of several steps in that booking process when you're dealing with a corporate party. So, yeah. And
as we started to get like irritated by some of the repetitive nature and the kind of ongoing, we call it lifestyle theft, and the lack of recurring revenue, it really just started to become, there's got to be a better way. It feels like these events that keep falling in our laps are a better way. Now, how do we chase that? Okay. It reminds me of the fact that part of the reason it was a struggle was I didn't want to say like, oh, we don't do weddings or we're not going to do weddings anymore. And I remember you and I having this conversation where we said, we're going to do more corporate. Does that mean we're automatically going to do less weddings? And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, this is a proof of concept.
Yeah.
And it was February of 2017. We knew we were pregnant, but nobody else did. And this corporate lead comes in, and I'll tell my side of it, and then you tell your side of it. So this corporate lead comes in. It was from the Dallas Hyatt downtown, Hyatt Reunion Tower. It was a 3.5-day project.
Mm-hmm.
Looked at the dates, and it turns out that I had an obligation in Colorado over the dates. So I would be here for like the first and second day, I think it was, and then the third and fourth day, you would have had to take care of the event with our lead associate, Simon. And that is not, up to that point, that is not something we had done before.
Right.
Because weddings were typically, they would book the two of us.
Yeah.
And even corporate, oftentimes it was small enough where it was only one photographer. So here's this big event. It's coming in. It's a 3 or 4 day event. Great opportunity for not only a paycheck, but great new experience. It required us to get out of our comfort zone. So I remember, kind of qualifying the lead and answering their questions. And then I came back to you and I was like, hey, we've got this unbelievable opportunity. It's downtown. It's at the, Hyatt Reunion Tower. It's 1,500 people. Here's the deal. I have that project in Colorado that I'm going to go do.
Yeah.
That means you're going to have to be the lead. Simon's going to be the associate. It includes, a general session, breakout, or small meetings. It includes a little exhibit space out in the pre-function area. And, by the way, an A-list celebrity meet and greet where you'll have to do photos of the people that are there that are VIPs with this celebrity keynote. And then I said, I'm totally in support of doing this, but that's a lot of pressure. How do you feel about it? And what was your experience?
Like, let's do it. Let's go. There's no question. Let's get up. Let's do this.
And it made us uncomfortable, though.
Yeah, it did. But I'm always the one that doesn't overthink.
Oh, wow. Shots fired. So you're saying I'm an overthinker.
No, Don is a preparer, which
I'm a planner.
We would not be as successful as we are if we didn't have that mindset.
And your creative contribution, of course, like we can say that like we are who we are because of what we're all both capable of. I think that you did say...
I was a little bit nervous because it was the first time... Like, we photographed bands and stuff at a distance, but this was the first time where I was like, okay, we've got an A-list celebrity, and where we had to be very hands-on with them, and he's a very intense individual, and so we had a certain amount of VIPs that we had to move through quickly, and so with all that stuff that comes together, that's the photographer's job to keep that stuff moving. And so it's hard to tell somebody who's very big in character, okay, we need to cut that conversation with this person and move on. So those were things we were learning kind of on the fly at the time. And, but Simon and I, we went for it.
Yeah. We did all the due diligence. And the reason I wanted to tell this story was, number one, it's so important to remember that growth means getting outside of your comfort zone.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And, let me just take this moment for just a quick educational moment. The idea of a comfort zone comes from a book by Gay Hendricks. It was called The Big Leap. And people that stay in their comfort zone are typically there just because it's comfortable, and they're afraid of what's next. And what's next is their zone of excellence.
Yeah.
And then in their zone of excellence, they're doing really, really well, and they're exceeding and they're excelling. And then the next level is the zone of genius. And each one of those jumps takes considerable courage and preparation and skill evolution, because what got you here won't necessarily serve you in the next of those. And so this was one of our moments where we literally look back on it and think, okay, we went not only from our comfort zone to our zone of excellence, but it pushed us, it propelled us into our zone of genius. And the reason I wanted to tell the story was because if we had said no to this client, if we had said no, and I want the audience to really lean in, because this is not hyperbolic at all. I'm not exaggerating. If we had said no to that client, in all likelihood, we would have lost about $250,000 over a decade.
Yes.
Because this corporate client came back and hired us over and over again, over the course of, I guess now 10 years, a decade,
several times a year
for different projects, where we would have potentially lost that business to another studio. They would have loved that studio because there's a lot of creative and talented entrepreneurs out there, never to be seen again.
Yeah.
And so lesson one as part of this episode is acknowledging the constraint of the wedding market that says kind of lifestyle theft and like revenue ceiling, and then introducing this notion of lifetime value, right? Every client that you meet in the corporate world has the opportunity to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 5 and 6 figure lifetime value.
Yeah.
And it doesn't require going out and refinding a new client. And I think that's mind-blowing for us. And it was a success, obviously, because we've been hired now by that client over and over again. But if you sit down and do the math, for us, that was the moment when the math kind of stopped mathing. It stopped making sense to us.
Yeah.
And it really propelled us into a place of, okay, what does this business even look like? And so something as simple as when a wedding comes to you, and for those of you that don't know the numbers, if you're in the wedding market, even if you're in the mid to higher tier wedding market, you're usually 10 to 12% of a couple's budget if you're doing photography or visual arts. Now, that doesn't seem like a lot, but ultimately 10 to 12% of, let's say, even a $150,000 wedding is $15,000.
Yeah.
That's a fair amount of money.
Yeah.
Right? If you're booking $150,000 to $200,000 weddings. I think the average right now, people say, is $3,500 to $5,000 for averages in the United States for a wedding photographer, which is less money, but still a good paycheck.
Yeah.
Until you start looking at how much time you spend on it, from inception, lead generation, booking, and so on.
Yeah.
And when you look at a corporate budget, like some of the events we've photographed have been somewhere between $1 and $4 million events.
Yes.
And then suddenly your 5-figure, close to sometimes 6-figure project budget is 0.001% of their budget.
Yeah.
And they see you as a investment.
Yes.
And so instead of being just like a line item on the budget and you're being an expense, you're becoming an asset to them, not only because of your capability and your knowledge and your experience and your time and your talent, but because they know that what you create is going to feed their content machine.
Right.
It's going to create their marketing. It's going to create massive FOMO.
Yes.
Right?
And it documents their legacy. Right?
And it documents the legacy of what they've created. This event you just did this last week.
Yeah.
You came home 10 or 11 o'clock at night. You made a promise to the client you were going to deliver on-site photos day of. And what was, we go to bed late, it's midnight. We have to be up at like 5 or 6. By the way, it was like a Tuesday, not a Saturday.
Yeah, Tuesday and Wednesday.
Tuesday and Wednesday. And the next day, we had like 4 emails in our inbox already from the team that we had worked with. And what did they say? You're so amazing, Emily. I know you don't want to talk about it, so I'll talk about it. You know, oh my gosh, you were such a pleasure to work with. These images are amazing. And what they did was, it wasn't necessarily for social media or for client facing, but what they did was they sent it out to the entire team.
Yeah.
The production team, the audio team, even the team at home. So the person that
team,
the person that booked the event sent me a note the next morning. It was like, oh my gosh, they said you crushed it. Emily was amazing. And I got to look at the photos and oh my goodness, you captured this so beautifully. And our response is always, of course, thank you for the opportunity. We're just capturing what you're creating. You did an amazing job setting this up and making this look so great. But it's really amazing to already see how this one project leads to the next.
Right.
And how they see you as a creative partner, a creative extension of the team, the subject matter expert.
Yeah. And on that note, sorry to startle you.
No, you startled me.
I really enjoyed this last one too, because it pushed my photography knowledge a little bit, which it doesn't happen too often because a lot of lighting and stuff in the corporate stages are very consistent. And so you learn to work around banning and all this stuff. And so I had some new experiences with lasers and a dancer who was, and it was a very cool situation. It was super difficult to capture the beam of laser coming down in the clarity that it needed to be with the speed of which the dancer was dancing. And so a little side note, I always like to sit in on a dress rehearsal because I can get a grasp of what the performance is going to be before it happens. And I always recommend this because you just never know.
Yeah.
If I had gone in there only at the time of the actual performance, I would have been, oh my goodness, this guy's moving 100 million miles an hour and I have to shoot this laser at, 1/30 of a section, a second to capture the true color and everything coming through. So it was, that was a cool moment.
Yeah.
And so but having that knowledge and learning that stuff is what your clients don't ever have to think about when they're in the corporate world. They're hiring you to know your stuff. And so, very cool moments like that come up that keep it fresh too. It's not like the stale, oh, it always looks like this. You have new moments coming in where you get to flex your artistic eye.
Yeah, we were talking about like revenue ceiling and lifetime value, but what you've touched upon is that people think for whatever reason they're under this misconception that corporate is boring or corporate is just like a stale conference or panel up on the stage. And this was
really
a gala
really
dinner.
Cool. Yeah.
Now it is worth noting, if anybody that's listening along right now is paying attention to what's happening in the industry, Emily's mentioning a laser. Now this laser was a production kind of like the America's Got Talent kind of production where this person uses laser and smoke and haze to create the appearance that they're basically handling the lasers, controlling the lasers, and molding light to do what they want. It is not like the DJ on the dance floor using these kind of dangerous to camera cheap lasers that I know there's a lot of people right now that are posting about how if those lasers come out on a dance floor, they literally put their lens cap on and put their camera away because
burning
that sensor. This was very different than that. So let's acknowledge that. But like coming back to the fact that such a cool opportunity to be thrown into a situation. We've had the pleasure of photographing the Blue Man Group.
Oh yeah.
In Las Vegas, and they use obviously iridescent paint and very little light, and they're moving a mile a minute.
And we didn't get a dress rehearsal.
We didn't get a dress rehearsal on that.
They're just like, well, you got to figure that out.
And so some of the coolest photos. Knowing to do what we want in order to tell the story of the moment.
Yeah.
But, creativity exists in corporate America just like it does in weddings.
Yeah.
Maybe a different way.
And you're doing this on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Because the corporate world, they want to get home. They travel home on Fridays. Mm-hmm. So it's lovely because that makes you have your own weekend open and
lifestyle theft.
Do your own thing. It's a thing. So you're working when everybody else works.
When everybody else is working, and
as I air quote.
And while the kids are in school, and you're not having to sacrifice those milestones because that's the way we set it. For a number of years, we sacrificed our own milestones so that we could photograph someone else's, and that was okay. We enjoyed it, and this is a good time for me to also point out. We didn't set out to stop doing weddings altogether. No. The way it started for us was diversification, difference. I just want to do more of this. And for those of you that are like, why? Well, the lifestyle theft was one, and the revenue ceiling was the other. But also, for those of you that remember your high school or college economy or economics, supply and demand.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were doing more and more corporate. And so what would start to happen was we would have this sort of buffer of revenue coming into the business. And suddenly we weren't as dependent on this next wedding.
Yeah.
And we weren't in that position of feeling like, oh man, we got to book this. And so what we started doing is we started being more selective. Yeah. We started increasing our pricing and in fact created a completely different pricing structure as we added corporate to the business. And what happened was some of those things that were a bit of a grind were getting alleviated. We weren't meeting with as many couples. We weren't doing as many weddings. We were doing weddings that were higher net revenue.
Yeah.
And so those things that were a grind were less bothersome, less frequent. And we were making just as much, if not more money with less work.
Yeah.
less meetings, less emotional labor, less education. And so when we say that's like a win-win-win, we really mean that it was a win-win-win. And so it's really important that these decisions get made, because I remember a story when it was, I guess, probably 2017 or 18, which is when we were really trailing off and we were doing our last weddings. We had this lead, and it was a great piece of business. It was a destination wedding. I think it was in Mexico. And it was like a 5-day, right? Fly in on Thursday, do the rehearsal dinner, do the Saturday, do the Sunday brunch, and then fly home on Monday.
Yep.
I was like, oh man, this is great. It's a 5-figure wedding. This will be great. Oh, well, we're so excited. And then I get the call, and the couple decided to go a different direction. I want to say it was basically style, or we just weren't the right fit. I don't think it was budget. I think this one was style, which is, it happens. But I remember being so bummed out. And then I got a call within days. I don't want to be, maybe a week. It was very close. Got a call from our corporate client. And they were like, hey, we've got this huge event coming up. We need you and your whole team. It's like a 4 or 5 day, and it requires you to fly in on Saturday. It starts Sunday late afternoon and goes through like Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it was the same dates, Emily.
Yeah.
And my immediate thought was, kind of unanswered prayers. I had this moment of like, holy smokes, if we had booked that wedding, I would have been in the regrettable circumstance where I would have had to either cancel on that couple.
Right.
Admittedly, it had just booked, but I would have had to cancel on them or have a conversation with them, because unlike corporate, they book you.
Yeah.
They don't book your studio. They don't book a photographer. They book you. And so I just remember thinking, I thought that 5-figure wedding was such a big deal and it would have been great. But then along comes this project that was 2 or 3 times that value.
Yeah.
And most importantly, if you're listening, and please remember this, and I've told this to the people in the program, you don't ever want to tell a corporate client that you're not available.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
And the reason that is because they'll obviously need a photographer anyway.
Yeah.
And if you can't send someone, they're going to find somebody else. And there are a lot of talented, there's nobody like you.
Right.
There's nobody like us.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of talented photographers out there. And if they find one that they really like, then suddenly you're competing against that studio for future business.
Yeah.
So one of the people in the program had said that to me. They had a corporate event that came in, brand new brands that they've created, and they got one in, and it was an overlap. And they literally were on the call with me that week, and they said, we got a lead. And our immediate thought was like, oh, so we're already booked. I'm so sorry. And I thought, nope, Dawn tells us don't ever say that you're busy. And we were prepared to find an associate photographer and make sure that they stayed with our brand so that we could keep them. These are the things you don't think about when you think about a wedding couple.
Yeah.
It's one of the ways in which the market is so different.
There's been many, many times that we've been hired for a corporate project, and then somebody comes in, hey, we need you for this night. And that's when you have a great team in place, because your team has developed the same style as you as well. So, we train our team so they know how to handle lighting and all that stuff. And so we feel very confident when we can send that person out in our stead and it stays in the studio. Yeah. And our corporate client, they don't care. They just come and do a good job. Yeah. We'll catch you on the next one.
The only thing they care about is that we send the person, and that we are ready to prepare that person for what they're going into. The other thing that's cool about us moving into this next level of our evolution is we've now created a referral source. Like, we've always had the people that have been sort of associate photographers, but now that we have these people in the program, in the last couple of weeks, I was able to refer a piece of business that wasn't a good fit out to one of the people in the program.
Yeah.
It was a $12,000 project. Yeah. That person booked. And then we were able to bring a videography team in that's in the program to Dallas to do video for us. Yeah. That is, I think it was a $5,000 or $7,000 opportunity. And so it's really cool to know that we're basically creating a training ground and sort of a breeding ground for associates to refer amongst each other. Yeah. And by, white labeling that person, by having that person shoot for you as an associate, you get to keep that with your brand. Mm-hmm. And then you get to keep that lifetime value climbing all the time.
Plus, they get to train with us. Right?
They get to learn from us. People have come back and said, wow, I learned so much on the ground with Emily. So you're getting paid to learn. Yeah. Right. And that's just a great
there's so many
opportunity.
things that, and the same thing goes to wedding photography. There's so many things that can change, and so you have to just have the knowledge base there to go with it.
Speaking of knowledge base, it's like you teed that up on purpose. I got to say that one of the things that I think is the practical application that people struggle with is the creativity transfers.
Uh-huh.
I've always said that weddings were a really great boot camp for the corporate market, because if you can survive a wedding, if you can show up on a wedding day where there's a lot of emotions are high, there's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot of people in charge.
Yeah.
There's,
you get the church lady who doesn't tell you beforehand that you're only stuck in the back of the church.
Yeah.
Nobody knows this until you're actually there. Those kind of moments.
Yeah. It becomes a really great opportunity to look back on and be like, oh, well, if I can survive a 14-hour day with 1 million people in charge, then when I show up and there's one point of contact who knows exactly what we need. So the creativity and the experience transfers, and it transfers beautifully. Even the gear, right?
Yeah.
The gear transfers well. Now, if you show up at a corporate event with nothing but like film and prime lenses, you're probably going to struggle because it's too dynamic of an environment.
Yeah.
You're going to need some combination of zoom lenses. You're going to need multiple camera bodies, and you're probably going to need to understand things about your gear that maybe weren't particularly
like
specific.
photographing lasers.
Like photographing lasers. And shutter speed issues when different things are happening. But ultimately, the experience transfers, the creativity transfers, the gear transfers, although maybe with just a couple things. The biggest gap is knowledge.
Yeah.
And here's what I want to share with the audience today that I think is so important. We overestimate the gap, partially because having never been in that environment, it feels like miles and miles and miles away. It's intimidating, right? If you're sitting across the table talking to a couple, there's a ton of relatability.
Yeah.
Right? You're talking about emotional things, humanistic things, celebrations. But then when you sit across the table or on a Zoom call or wherever you are with a corporate client, there's a language that's different. There's needs, wants, and expectations that are different that you may not have come up against. And so the practical application is your entire focus gets to be about closing that gap.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. That's what we spent a couple of years, right? I would say between 2012 and 2016, 17. So it was about a 3 to 4 year where we really started ramping it up. And I love saying it. It was like, 90-10. 90% of our revenue was weddings and social events, and about 10 or 20% was corporate. And over that 3 to 4 years, it just steadily moved. And it was that wedding that we didn't book, followed by the corporate lead that we did book, when we finally said, we don't do weddings anymore. Yeah. We don't advertise weddings. We're not going to seek them out, but literally we started referring weddings out to other people because it was hard to imagine, but even a 5-figure wedding was an opportunity cost. No sooner did you book that and commit to that and have that client that it became for us an opportunity cost. And so we just said, we don't do weddings anymore. We took weddings down off of our website. And up until this last year where we came out of retirement for one very special wedding, we haven't done a wedding in 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And I think it's each studio's personal decision exactly how they differentiate and diversify. But I'm going to tell you right now, diversification is more important than ever.
Yeah.
Because of the uncertainty in the market, the kind of political and social upheaval in the country, and because of what I call AI crowding, it's going to be increasingly important that every visual artist that photographs live events diversify as much as possible.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, it requires closing that knowledge gap.
Yeah. So how do we do that?
How do we do that? Well, for me, it was putting my old hat on and saying hey, how do I want people to talk to the me that I was when I was in corporate America?
Right. Yeah.
And, we created this system, and it's really this kind of super fun bubble that I created. And it involves what I think are the key pillars. and what we've executed over the last decade. Branding is about the identity of your studio. And if you don't have that, then you're a commodity and nobody's going to be able to see you and recognize you. Branding is the voice of your studio. Mm-hmm. If you don't have an authentic voice, a creative voice, if you're not getting your message to your ideal audience and dream client, then nobody's going to connect with you. They're not going to find you and they're not going to connect with you. The next thing is all about lead generation and sales conversion. And the biggest problem that wedding couples have,
wedding photographers
have is they treat their corporate clients like they're a wedding couple.
Yeah.
It's second nature to them. They just start talking about big moments, big days, capturing emotion and these types of things. And that's not what a corporate client needs to hear.
Right. And it comes simply down to contracts too, right? You're like, this contract reads very differently than what your corporate client wants to see and what they need to see with their lawyers and things that's the stuff that you don't really kind of deal with.
Correct.
In the wedding world, which you need to know about.
You need to know about. So again, closing the knowledge gap. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things I talk about when it comes to lead generation and sales conversion, marketing isn't the same as lead generation. Marketing is getting people's attention. Lead generation is actually getting a prospect that's a qualified opportunity to provide a service and get money for it. And so the cool thing about the corporate market is you can actually make offers that generate lead opportunity rather than just being a person who is having to wait for an inbound inquiry. So being able to put together an offer and a proposal that's outbound to a client that doesn't even know they necessarily need you yet, it's incredibly empowering. And so when you're feeling like, a dip in opportunity, oh my gosh, the leads just aren't flowing in, you can become proactive, and that changes everything. And then the last bubble, right? There's these 4 bubbles. So branding, marketing, lead generation, and sales conversion. And the last one is creating exceptional experiences. Yeah. And being a subject matter expert for a corporate client is very different than being the go-to person for a wedding couple. And so we share a lot about what it means to be a subject matter expert in the corporate arena. And that's essentially what we're going to talk about in the next episode. What is the corporate client capture system? How do we create it? How can it move the needle forward for you? How can you adjust and adapt your brand to making sure that people see you and connect with you, and it attracts all the right folks that are a good fit for your studio and kind of filters out the ones that aren't, so you're not wasting your time. All of that, it's incredibly proactive and it's incredibly empowering. And the people that I've spoken to and the people that have been successfully navigating their way through the program come back and are like, dude, I had no idea. They're talking about the things that make me just so happy. Rebecca and Kyle created a new brand because they wanted to keep their wedding films and their corporate photography and videography separate. And they hopped on the call the other day and they're like, it's amazing. People are talking about it already. Yeah. We went to an event, like a happy hour or like an open house. Yeah. And when we walked in, they're like, oh, yeah, you're doing that fun new brand. Oh, I'm so excited to hear more about that.
Yeah. And having worked next to them last week, they were phenomenal.
They're exceptional.
Yeah. So impressed.
So impressed with what they do. And again, creating that referral source, right? So they were able to come in, and I've actually said it. It was kind of like that scene out of Top Gun. It was really fun. So they were here, they were doing video for us. And I was like, listen, y'all are crushing it. I love what you do. We're so excited to work with you and to have you in our program, blah, blah, blah. And they were talking about how they were starting to run into circumstances where, hey, this opportunity's coming in. I'm like, you know what? Call me, I'll be your wingman anytime.
Right, there you go.
It was really cool to feel like we could have this opportunity where we can help them reach the next levels of their success. Yeah. And that they're not alone. They're not trying to navigate this space by themselves, which, you know, I've said it. Like, could you go out and like hunt on YouTube and figure this all out on your own? You absolutely could. It'll take longer. It'll be harder. Yeah. And if that's the route you want to go, then 100% more power to you. But we acknowledge that we had the benefit of years of experience in the photography market, and I had years of experience in the corporate market, and you had years of experience in the
owning
fashion,
like
the entrepreneurial market, and not everybody has the benefit of those things. Yeah. And so how could we share that with them? And this is how. Yep. So as we get ready to wrap up, I want to share a couple of things, and then I'll let you bring it home. We started the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So in addition to being on all the socials and having the podcast, which is available everywhere where podcasts are streaming and has its own website, hocusfocuspodcast.com, we started a YouTube channel. And there's a couple reasons why. I am hoping that people will start to engage and interact on there as well.
Yeah.
It gives us a chance to
look at the camera.
And if you're watching this on video, you get to kind of connect with us and see who we are and put names and faces together.
Yes.
I also hope that discourse starts there.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some people that just are more used to sitting down and doing learning and listening by video. The other thing is, before too long, we're going to be doing some instructional videos.
Yes.
And talking about off-camera flash and ways in which when you show up in the corporate market, it's important that you know these handful of things, and that's going to be podcastable, but in order to like show you what we're doing, I think that's why. So if you have a minute, go check us out. We're at the Mamonis on YouTube. We post all of the episodes up there as a podcast. We also do clips. So there's lots of clips up there. So if you want to just go get a kind of a teaser to find out whether or not the next episode is exactly what you need, you can check that out. All right, what else?
That's it.
That's it? Is that a wrap?
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Episode 3.
Bye.
You're creative, you're knowledgeable, and you've got all the experience and professional gear you'll need.
It's time to leverage it all in a whole new market full of loyal clients.
Remember, it's not about more, it's about different and better.
Hit subscribe, leave us a review, so other creatives can find their way to us on Hocus-Focus.
Join us next week for more magic behind your wildly successful studio.
I'm Don.
I'm Emily.
Thanks for listening.